There we go. I think we're going. I can never tell. It's not a... There's no, like, reliable way for me to see whether we're live or not. Because I'm just looking at a green icon. And that's about it. It doesn't say, like, one way or the other. But hello, everybody. This is Sound Booth Theater Live. And some of you are here, and I appreciate that. Today's going to be a pretty short one. I didn't have any good plans. That's why I kind of did a last-minute post. Of course, Ian Mitchell and Nicholas Legrand will be getting free audiobooks today for their requests. And we're just going to be doing some regular stuff, some regular Sound Booth Theater Live stuff. Some Everybody Loves Large Chests, and some RWO by Ian Mitchell. So, let's get this party started. First, I need to get my links. What's up, Sin? Need to get my links, and I need to do a little bit of advertising. First off, thank you guys so much for jumping all over super sales on superheroes. We're almost at 2,000 audiobook sales. Hey, what's up, Jason? For super sales on superheroes, and it's only been out for 2 weeks. Now, and actually ACX is like a day behind counting, so it probably has already gone over 2,000 sales in 2 weeks. That is crazy. I've never had anything sell that fast in all my time narrating. Now, I mean, like, if you think of album sales, or even if you think of Kindle sales, that's not very much, right? 2,000 in 2 weeks, it's like, that's 2,000 in 2 weeks for Kindle, I think, is like, meh, it's alright, right? Like, right at release. But for audiobooks, that's nutty. So I want to thank everybody who's already got it. And it's the rate, even though it's got 360 something ratings now, I think, it's still at 4.8 average as a rating as a whole. And that's fantastic. And I had so much fun recording it. I remember when it came out on Kindle how it just exploded on the scene. So I'm hoping this pace keeps up. And so yeah, go check it out on Audible if you haven't listened to it already. It's killing it. It's killing it. My microphone is being a little too... There we go. Keeps wanting to move. Stop moving. Ian, you said you're getting yours tonight. Is that the free one that you're going to get? I don't know what's up with my mic. It's acting funny. It's not really my mic, it's my boom. Maybe I need to scoot back a little. Get out of your guys' face a little. Okay, and also what has been killing it on the market. Where'd it go? Delvers LLC, Obligations Incurred, has been killing it as well. Actually, the first Delvers, I know, it's just, it's feeling lonely. It's always in the booth. It doesn't ever leave. So Delvers LLC, Obligations Incurred, is also selling really well. And the first one, Welcome to Ludus, is on sale for $5. So go pick that up. That's, I mean, that's about as cheap as it's going to get. Some of you may know about this, some of you may not. And if you do know about it and you're just a consumer, maybe it upsets you a little bit, but WhisperSync has, I think, permanently moved from $2 to $7.50. Now, I mean, if you're used to getting a $2 audiobook, I can understand that making you upset a little bit. But for me, and for authors, and for everybody who actually invests money into making audiobooks, it's fantastic. I mean, to put it in perspective, whenever I do a royalty share with an author through ACX, which is the market where authors and narrators connect to each other to make audiobooks, our royalty shares are, we each get 20% of sales, and Audible gets 60%. So, putting the audiobook on sale for $2, that means we get 40 cents a copy for each audiobook. And let's say an author pays me, my per finished hour rate is $350. So an audiobook will cost an author, somewhere around the $3,000 range to get it done. So even if they pay me and they're taking the 40% of the royalties, they're getting 80 cents per copy. So and I told you that 2,000 copies in 2 weeks is insane. So it takes a long time to make your money back, even I mean, if you're selling them all for $2. I mean, thankfully the WhisperSync wasn't popular enough to where that was making up all the sales, but it was still not good for us. Audible does take 60%. And it makes a certain amount of sense, right? Because they have to do, they're doing all the distribution, right? They have to pay for all the bandwidth. They have to pay people to do the processing. But at the same time, they're the biggest game in town. So, I suppose some of those things could be done cheaper. If they want, maybe it doesn't cost that much. Maybe they're taking a ridiculous amount. Who knows? We can't see the finances. But the point of the fact of the matter is, they're the only outlet that we really have. So they're gonna take advantage of that as long as they can. Now, the fact that they're the only game in town and the first game in town, maybe they're banking on the fact that eventually someone's going to be entering the indie market the same way that they have, so they want to get as much as they can out of it before someone else does compete. But that's the name of the game. That's the way it works. So until we do find an alternative, that's our deal. But I mean, I'm still making a good living, so it's kind of hard to complain. So, Delvers LLC, doing really well. Go pick that up if you haven't picked it up yet. July 15th is when it goes, when the sale ends. So I guess Saturday? $5 for the first one. If you haven't experienced yet, go check it out. Let's see. Also, one last thing. I want to pimp out the feedback loop some more because, God damn it, I love this series. Harmon's got me working on other stuff lately. There is a surprise coming. When did he say? I think in the beginning of August. We'll let you know. You'll see it here. On release day of the surprise project, we're going to do a Sound Booth Theater live, so watch out for that. Harmon's got something cooking. But also, Fantasy Online just got finished, and it's been on its way to retail for the past week and 2 days. No, week and 1 day. So it should be out any day now. Fantasy Online. I had so much fun recording this one. So many great characters. Harmon is very talented at writing characters. And I suppose those people that are talented at writing characters, they're the ones who want me to do their audiobooks anyway, so it makes sense. And Fantasy Online, if you don't know, if you don't know, Fantasy Online is like a spin-off of the feedback loop. So if you haven't experienced either of them yet, if you haven't read either of them yet, I suggest that you start with Fantasy Online, because it's a more traditional lit RPG than the feedback loop. It more closely resembles what you're used to, because one, it's in a fantasy world. Two, you got this whole, you got the party dynamic happening where it's a group of players going on a quest. But unlike most lit RPGs, about half the book takes place in the game and half the book takes place in the real world, and the plots are interwoven, right? It's the same plot, and it's really done well. So just wait, maybe a few more days if you want to get Fantasy Online when it comes out on Audible. Or you can just jump right into the feedback loop, but feedback loop is a little more intense and a little more stylistic, right? Fantasy Online is a good book. I just can't get over that stupid-looking sword on the cover. Are you talking about the Double Blade one or the Final Fantasy VII one? Because the weapons, I don't know. The weapons are funny in the book. I can't. I guess you've read it already, but anyway. So yeah, Fantasy Online. Watch for that. It's coming. I also just finished. Let's see, Hero of Thera is going to be going to retail in the next couple days. They're very silly. They're silly swords. It's a JRPG. That's what JRPGs are all about: silly weapons, silly powers. So Hero of Thera is probably going to be going to retail on Friday. So that'll be out in the next 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And then Everrealm, I just finished recording Everrealm last night. So that's hopefully going to retail on next Wednesday. I don't know if you guys remember Everrealm when it came out, but it's so good. It's not, if you're like a hardcore lit RPG purist, maybe you won't like it. But that's not what it's for. I think it is what people call a light lit RPG, and it's more focused on the story. It's more focused on having a good time than messing with the numbers and the game mechanics and stuff. And it's super fast paced and hilarious. Last night I wanted to finish last night, and I almost didn't because there were so many instances where I was just laughing my ass off trying to get through scenes. So be on the lookout for all these upcoming audiobooks in the lit RPG genre. Now, back to it. Now, which cover do I want to use? This has always been my favorite for Everybody Loves Large Chests. And this one... this one has been requested by Nicholas Legrand on at Lit RPG Society. I believe he's an admin. And he called this the Tentacle Rape Scene. So, first of all, let me say, I have not talked to, wow, I'm blanking on name. I've not, Exterminatus. That's not what I've been calling him. Wow, I'm so stupid. Neven Iliev. I haven't talked to him about doing the full, the full audiobook yet. but I want to, and I'm thinking that I want to do it later this year. So I need to email him and talk to him about it because he needs to break it up. I know it's probably a book that's this thick by now, so he needs to break it up so that we can put it in profitable chunks for me, to do for a royalty share. But I want to do it, and I'm hoping that people in the lit RPG community will jump on it if I do, because it's so silly and ridiculous, and so much fun. I love playing I love playing Boxy. But yeah, so this is the tentacle rape scene. So this should go in the this should fall firmly under the Cringe Theater category. So I don't know, maybe I should have done it second as the second request, but I'm just excited to do it, so I'm just gonna do it. It's gonna be very cringy, and hide your kids, hide your wife. Seriously, this is gonna be disturbing. I haven't read it. I'm guessing. Now Nicholas told me to start about halfway through, but since we only have the 2 requests today, I think I'll just do the entire. I'll do the entire chapter. So you've been warned. This is going to be really gross and fucked up. So if you get squeamish or whatever, maybe you want to skip out on this one. All right, here goes. Everybody loves large chests. The tentacle rape scene. When the mimic woke up the next morning, it did so in its traditionally violent manner. It accidentally kicked the sleeping gnome next to it in the head, albeit lightly. The abused Fizzy stirred, but failed to wake up. It had only been 5 hours after she fell asleep, so her condition right now was not too dissimilar to that of a rock. Boxy briefly considered the way it had been treating the gnome until now. It failed to realize it at the time, but using crude methods like that was a bit unreliable. While it's true that they turned out to be effective, it still silently chastised its past. Slightly dumber. While it's true that they turned out to be effective, it still silently chastised its past. Slightly dumb. Wow. While it's true that they turned out to be effective, it still silently chastised its past, slightly dumber self for the way it used violence on this naive creature. Well, that wasn't a reason to suddenly stop, though. Smack. It kicked her for real this time, which sent the gnome flying into the cave wall. She crashed into it head first, then fell down to the ground. Fizzy then promptly stood up, healed herself with a holy light, and turned to greet what was essentially her owner.
Good morning to you too, Boxy,
she said with a weak smile. I don't remember the gnome character, so I'm hoping I'm using a good voice for her. Even if it was violent, this sort of rough wake-up call was simply her routine now. Besides, she had convinced herself somewhere along the way that the mimic was only giving her all these beatings because they were for her own good. Vital survival skills like toughness, holy scriptures, and holy mastery had all increased substantially over these past 3 weeks, after all. Neven says squeaky voice is right, so... Of course, if anyone of sound mind was around to hear her thoughts, they would point out she was simply deluding herself, and that it was far more likely that the mimic simply found the act of punting the gnome to be surprisingly enjoyable. And they would be correct. Well, thinking back on the topic of discipline, though, Boxy had realized that fear and violence were perhaps not the best way to keep someone in check. After all, being deathly afraid of that detestable man called Edward might have kept it from acting out while he was around, but only fueled its desire to escape. If it had perhaps been shown a bit of leeway, offered a deal, or maybe fed something, it might have had second thoughts about the situation. Well, it would have still probably ran away with all its might, but it might have hesitated a bit beforehand. The point was that fear by itself was probably unnecessary to control a monster, and that lich it had captured wasn't going to fall for simple things like that. She would probably behave while it was around, but would probably plot a way to escape its control. The same could be said about Fizzy, but that gnome had every last resistance thoroughly beaten out of her, a tactic that would ultimately fail if used on a monster. It ordered Snack and Arms to stop their silly playing and come inside the cave. It had all the women line up and prepare for the confrontation with the lich. Even if it held what was probably her very life in its grasp, that didn't mean she wouldn't lash out in desperation. It's what Boxy would do, after all. And so, after confirming a few things with Zara, it took the gilded egg out of storage and hid it. The lich's body began to materialize a short while later in much the same fashion that Zara and Cora did, only without the light show. Brown, dirt-like particles appeared out of thin air and swirled around. They began constructing what appeared to be a floating clay statue of a practically naked, large-breasted woman. The spectacle took about 5 seconds to finish, at which point the brown and gray figure abruptly came to life as its pigmentation changed to what the mimic had already seen twice before. Oh, cool. I love how you have illustrations for all of your characters. Valeria opened her red-on-black eyes and soaked in the scene around her. She seemed to come to some conclusion as her shoulders drooped in defeat. This was still checkmate, no matter how she looked at it, especially since her newly formed body had a grand total of 0 MP. However, it was plainly obvious that her captors wanted something from her. Otherwise, the monster that appeared to be in charge would have probably destroyed her phylactery already. Granted, that thing was sturdier than it looked, but even a monkey with a rock could crack it open if given enough time. Valeria is the gnome, right? I think I'm starting to remember her. Is Valeria... No, Valeria is not the gnome? Or is... Okay. See, we've jumped around so much, and I forget all these character names. Gnome is Fizzy, that's right. You got any voice direction for Valeria? Since she's a lich, is she gonna sound different? The lich let out a dejected sigh, then forced a bit of vigor back into her eyes and stared resolutely at the chest. Excuse me.
So, you caught me. What happens now?
Boxy somehow disliked being literally looked down upon. It was clearly in a position of power, so how come it had to have the lower eyesight? That just wasn't right. Therefore, it sprang open its lid, and the fully formed pseudo-Zera... Excuse me. Therefore, it sprang open its lid, and the fully formed pseudo-Zera made her first appearance in a long time. The suddenness of it all made both Valeria and Fizzy twitch a bit in response. They both shifted their gazes between the slightly pouting succubus and her dumbly smiling albino clone, obviously unable to deal with the situation.
I want you to work for me.
The albino exhibitionist's strangely cheerful... Okay, so... Zera is... is the succubus or the four-armed one? I think it's the succubus. And so the voice is going to change. Okay.
I want you to work for me.
The albino exhibitionist's strangely cheerful voice broke both the paladin and the lich out of their respective stupors.
I'm sorry,
said Valeria.
But care to run that by me again? I want you to work for me.
Nope. She heard right the first time. Those were not quite the words Valeria was expecting, so she had to make sure.
All right, I'll bite. Why? Because you are strong. I need your help to get the things I want.
It was an undeniable fact that a necromancer was a formidable force on the battlefield, provided they had time to prepare. It was a sort of common knowledge that went double for a lich like her.
Yeah? What things? Levels, gold, revenge, also other equally tasty things.
Boxy crossed its arms triumphantly and nodded to itself. Needless to say, the lich was a bit dumbfounded as to what the hell it was going on about.
When Master says something is tasty, that means it is a good thing, pointed out Zera. Ah, I see.
Truthfully speaking, Valeria could sympathize somewhat with goals like that. Getting stronger through level-ups was something she sought anyway. Money was low on her priority list, but she understood it had some value when dealing with others. The third one she was also quite eager to accomplish, although pursuing it was sure to create a conflict of interests.
Ha! And why would I willingly do something like that? You're the one who murdered me. A total of 4 times, I might add. Pfft, amateur.
The mimic graciously ignored its succubus's outburst and continued on with the discussion. Where'd it go?
Because you have tasty things you also want, right?
Yet another response Valeria wasn't expecting. She was sure this monster would threaten her life, but it seemed like it legitimately wanted to take part in some give and take. The lich honestly didn't know what to expect at this point.
Wait, what exactly are you offering?
Boxy's head tilted dumbly to the side as it blinked its big red eyes a few times until it found the right word it was looking for.
Partnership? Yes, partnership. And if I refuse, I kill you and keep the shiny. Gah!
Not sure what get is. I mean, I know never mind. It's not like Valeria didn't see that coming, but hearing this creature put it so bluntly with a smiling face like that really struck a nerve. It left no doubt in her mind that it wouldn't hesitate to do it if she forced its hand, tentacle, whatever. Well, at the very least, it didn't try to bullshit her, and she had definite confirmation her unlife was on the line. So that was something. But then, why was it offering a partnership? Surely simply threatening her would be enough, right? But if she was forced to work like a slave, then she would definitely resent it and plot its downfall behind its back. On the other hand, if they formed a mutually beneficial relationship, then perhaps it might not be so bad. There was one glaring problem, though. The idea of working with her own murderer left a bad taste in her mouth.
Huh?
Wait, was that really the case? The last vestiges of her humanity seemed to argue that despising and hating one's killer was right, yet she couldn't bring herself to do that. While it's true that the mimic did strike her down, that didn't mean it bore any ill intent towards her personally. In fact, she had actually obtained power much greater than anything she thought she was willing to reach for if she still foolishly clung to her humanity. Ultimately, While she couldn't particularly thank the monster for killing her, she also couldn't really fault it. After all, if their positions were reversed, she would have probably done the same. Both her past self and her current self would have trampled over anyone. Both her past self and her current self would have trampled over anyone who came uninvited into her home. That notion was perhaps the main reason she got so angry at being suddenly ambushed like that. If it wasn't for that, perhaps the two of them wouldn't have needed to fight in the first place. Then again, that thought raised a very important question.
"Can I ask you something?"
she inquired, and got a nod in response.
Why were you in that tower to begin with?"
"Had a quest to defeat you."
Answered Boxy.
"A quest? Really? I don't think I've done much to get myself noticed by the guilds, though."
She had been keeping herself rather low profile ever since she became a lich a month or two ago. While it's true that she did attack some random travelers and passers-by, the number of her human victims since becoming a lich could be counted on one hand. The sort of numbers that could easily be explained away as monsters being monsters. Not nearly enough to warrant a subjugation quest just for her. I'm not sure.
Wait, the short one said something about a god, right?
"Yes."
Well,
What?
which god was it?
God of Chaos.
It answered simply.
There's one of those?
"Yes."
And he gave you a quest?
"Yes."
Like, personally?
"Yes."
So you met a god?
"Yes."
Why? How? What possible reason would there be for a god to bother with lowly monsters like us?
"He was bored."
Gods can get bored?
"Apparently."
And he sent you to me?
"Yes."
Just for kicks because he was bored?
"Yes."
While it's true that this creature's story was outlandish, Valeria had to admit it sort of fit the otherwise impossible situation she found herself in. How else would her very murderer find her all the way out here, in the middle of bumfuck nowhere? And if this monster was truly the pragmatist it was, then it wouldn't have risked venturing so deep into undead-infested territory without a good reason. As absurd as it was, being sent by a bored deity who wanted to get a rise out of their interaction was actually making a good deal of sense.
I'm having some difficulty believing your words.
But yet she was unable to find it that easy to trust this thing. Even if it appeared to be upfront and straightforward, that didn't mean it wouldn't lie to her if the situation demanded it.
"Does that matter?"
No, I suppose it doesn't.
After all, actions spoke louder than words, and the mimic's current actions were indicative of two facts. First, that it had already accomplished its objective in that... First, that it had already accomplished its objective in that old tower, and second, that said objective did not involve Valeria's destruction. Having more or less confirmed the monster's intentions, the Lich finally made her inevitable decision.
All right, you have a deal. I will accept your proposal and help you with anything you want done.
Her weakness had been seized. That much was undeniable. No matter how much she weighed the pros and cons of that sudden offer, maintaining her continued existence would obviously take top priority. Sure, she had to follow the orders of the stupid box thing that killed her, but at the very least she was even offered certain benefits. Speaking of which...
In return, she continued, I want two things from you. First, you have to keep my phylactery safe.
This monster had already proven to be unreasonably resilient. Having a sturdy meat shield like that protecting her weakness was quite reassuring.
"You mean the shiny egg?"
Right. That. Just keep it out of that Just keep it out of that item box skill of yours, okay?
Boxy?
Whispered Fizzy.
I think she means your, storage.
Oh.
Okay.
Of course it agreed. The Mimic was planning on doing that anyway. After all, it couldn't put her to work if it allowed her to be destroyed. Good, said Valeria. As for the other thing I want is... that is... I just need... She couldn't say it. I'm reading a little bit ahead. The words refused to leave her throat, as if a strange lump was keeping them in. She just suddenly realized she was about to say something truly outrageous that was a bit too weird, even for her. However, if she didn't speak up now, she might not get the chance later. Besides, surely if anyone could understand, it would be a fellow monster, right? So Valeria screwed up her courage, took a pointlessly deep breath, shut her eyes tight, and screamed with all her might. Hi, Buddha Cat! I love how you're jumping in right when I'm about to say this. Whew! Okay. It's just the setup is so good. Or bad, however you want to say it. I'm gonna do it again, because... Whew! So, Valeria screwed up her courage, took a pointlessly deep breath, shut her eyes tight, and screamed with all her might, I want to get fucked! The silence was deafening. Even the Mimic that was normally impervious to such things was a bit stunned at her outburst.
Sorry. Say that again?
It asked. Valeria's eyes flew open. A huge smile that threatened to rip her face in two appeared as she panted heavily. It's as if the calm and relatively composed Lich from a few seconds ago was nothing but a bad joke.
You know what sex is, right?
She asked in an oddly shaky voice.
Yes,
answered Boxy. Of course it did. How could it not? Those two demons kept performing the act on a literally daily basis. It just never saw the point in that. Okay, let me take a drink.
I want you to do that to me. Right here, right now, hard as you can, for as long as you can.
The floodgates were opened, and Valeria's pent-up lust poured forth without end.
Arms, snack, take care of it,
it said matter-of-factly. After all, why should it have to do something like that if it already had two minions that were basically pros at this sort of thing?
I don't know, boss,
spoke up Cora.
I mean, I'll gladly fuck anything with a pulse, but I don't think she counts. I'd much rather be on the receiving end.
It would seem even a rape-happy demon had standards, while Zara had her own reservations about the idea. However, the two of them were forgetting something. They were Boxy's bound familiars.
That's an order— No!
Screamed Valeria, interrupting the Mimic's words and pointed directly at it.
Not them! You! With the tentacles!
Okay. This is not a rape scene. This is just to clear it up. She would be lying if she said the thought had never crossed her mind. In fact, that had somehow ended up being the fantasy she most often thought of when pleasuring herself. She would be violated by the very monster that had killed her. The sheer absurdity of that thought only seemed to drive her perversions wild.
I want you to shove them inside me,
she rambled, completely forgetting her position.
I want you to scoop out all of my holes and ravage me completely. I want you to drown my insides in cum. I want to be so full of the stuff that I'm left as nothing more than a bloated, sopping, wet mess.
The mimic briefly considered her words. For some reason, she wanted it to personally tend to her. She didn't ask for food, treasure, or help with some impossible task, so it really had nothing to lose but time. And time was something it had plenty of right now. Oh.
Okay.
No, that's her.
Okay.
The fake succubus split apart into a dozen red, slimy tentacles. They abruptly wrapped around the lich's arms and legs and pulled her closer to the mimic, pinning her down to the ground. It then roughly tore off the long, bandage-like cloth that covered her lower half and shoved 2 extra thick ones in both holes. It gets worse, much worse. Okay, so if you're just tuning in and you had no idea what you were in for, take it from the author, it gets much worse. So, hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your husband, okay? But it's not rape. Just to be clear.
Yeah!
Valeria let out a half-scream, half-moan that was like a bitch in heat. The monster had filled her completely, just as she wanted. The sudden penetration was so intense that her tongue lolled out of her mouth all on its own. A third tentacle then shoved itself into her throat, and all 3 of them started rhythmically thrusting in and out of her.
Holy shit!
Shouted Cora.
What the fuck? The boss actually went and did it!
Wah! Screamed Fizzy. She blushed fiercely and covered her eyes. Needless to say, this incredibly obscene and bizarre display was way too much for a virgin like her to handle.
Master,
said Zira while raising her arms with a hugely expectant look on her face.
Do me too! Do me too!
Okay. A few of the tentacles split off and wrapped themselves around the eager succubus. They pinned her roughly to the ground and subjected her to much the same treatment, which she gladly accepted with all of her slutty being. Boxy had decided to simply treat this as an opportunity to practice its shapeshift skill. After all, the rank up was still around the corner, and it still had a long way to go before level 10. Actually, doing even more than this would probably make the skill go up even faster. Right?
Arms,
it called out. Cora's eyes went wide. It seemed she realized what was about to happen.
I think I'll pass. I'll be outside if you need me.
She turned around on her heels and started walking out of the cave. Of course, she didn't want any part of this. After all, unlike those 2 mega sluts, she would much rather be doing the pitching than the catching. Unfortunately for her, it wasn't a request. 2 more Okay, it is a rape scene. Okay. 2 more tentacles shot out from the chest and wrapped themselves around her ankles, then pulled on them fiercely. The red-skinned fiend fell on her face as Boxy dragged her closer to itself. It then promptly tore off her hot pants and thrust 2 appropriately sized ones into both her orifices. Her eyes shot wide open, and she gritted her teeth while instinctively clenching around the 2 intruders. The mimic briefly considered shoving one in her mouth as well, but was a bit wary of those sharp teeth accidentally biting something off. Growing all these limbs was a first for it, so this was really good training after all. Growing all these limbs was a first for it, so this was really good training after all.
It was almost at its biomass limit, though, so couldn't do much more than this. Actually, it could probably squeeze in a small gnome. Much like with Cora, two tentacles shot out and coiled themselves around Fizzy. The sudden act broke the tiny woman out of her amazed stare. Having realized what was about to happen to her, she immediately started struggling and crying, but a good slap across the face shut her up. The poor gnome whimpered pathetically as the mimic relieved her of the few pieces of clothing and armor she wore. She then valiantly stifled her screams of pain, as both her anal and vaginal virginity were then brutally robbed from her without any sort of foreplay. Now that it was tasked to capacity, Boxy focused all its attention on pleasuring the four girls. Not only was this doing wonders for its shapeshift skill, but it probably wouldn't be a bad thing if the Lich was extra happy. She'd be far less likely to rebel if that were the case. Besides, if the Mimic had set out to do something, it might as well do it right. Various holes were pumped, breasts were groped, buttocks were slapped, nipples were teased, and clits were stimulated. It actually found the girls' various reactions as it played with their bodies to be rather fun in their own way, but overall the entire thing just felt like work. Okay. And, of course, since those dozens of tentacles were technically tongues, it got a literal taste of all of them. Snack was, as expected, the most delicious one of all. Fizzy wasn't half bad either, though a little on the bland side. Cora tasted kind of bad, but not nearly as disgusting as the Lich. The last one was downright foul, though that wasn't really a surprise considering her undead body. Still, this was mostly for her sake, so it could hardly just spit her out. A deal was struck, after all. The sudden orgy dragged on. The sudden orgy dragged on and on as the Mimic displayed the formidable prowess of a shape-shifting monster with over 200 strength and nearly 400 endurance. It wasn't until 2 hours later that it finally ran out of steam and finished the girls off with several blasts of pseudo-sperm each, as per Valeria's request. It then let go of them, and they all collapsed into a gigantic mixed puddle of their combined juices. Oh, shit. Zara was in utter bliss. No matter how many times she tried to entice her beloved master to properly and thoroughly violate her, it always turned her down, saying it didn't feel like it. She actually had to thank that undead slut for providing the trigger for this truly memorable event. Cora was feeling a bit conflicted. She really didn't want to take part in any of this at first, but really got into it somewhere along the way. Even if her pride tried to reject the pleasure, her body was honest. After all, good things felt good. Overall, she really had little to complain about, since this was a rather new and exciting experience for her. Fizzy was broken. Her eyes were like those of a dead fish as she lay there completely motionless and blanked out. It didn't take a genius to see she had been clearly traumatized by this after reaching new depths of despair at the hands of this uncaring, selfish monster. Indeed, she seemed destined to forever be that creature's plaything. Perhaps it was time she finally accepted that fact and sought joy in servitude, much like those two demons. As for the one that started all this, she was finally satisfied. Completely, utterly, totally, and unequivocally fulfilled. If things were going to be like this from now on, then she would willingly and eagerly do everything that Mimic said. It murdered her? So what? She had felt more alive during those past 2 hours than she had throughout her entire life and unlife combined. Boxy, on the other hand, was regretting its actions. Much like any other new endeavor it set out on, it overdid things. Its body fluids were depleted. It was exhausted like hell and felt like utter shit. It just kept focusing on the task at hand and, like a workaholic, ended up neglecting its physical state. It made a mental note to be a bit more moderate in the future, since doing things like this was dangerous as it left the monster momentarily vulnerable. On the upside, Shapeshift had gone up by 14% proficiency, which was pretty impressive progress for just 2 hours. Whew. Your actions have altered the flows of chaos. The weird notification caused the mimic to immediately bolt upright and beware its surroundings. Its body was still a bit wobbly since its stamina had been depleted, but it still forced itself to stand ready for anything. And, much as it was expecting, something did indeed happen. To the Lich, that is. The bright red gem embedded in the valley of Valeria's breasts gradually turned from red to yellow. The runes on her midriff did the same, except they also changed their shape in addition to their color. And lastly, the red dots of her eyes lost their bloody crimson color and became bright yellow, as if miniature suns in a pitch-black sky. Was this a good or bad thing? The mimic desperately wanted to know, but it had no idea. This was, after all, the first time its Agent of Chaos skill had been triggered. Oh, these are cool charts. Oh, there we go. General information. Name, Valeria Vortina. Species, Lich, Greater. Sex, female. Age, 2 months. Guild, none. HP, 1018 out of 1018, plus 0 per second. MP, 2045 out of 2045, plus 1.8 per second. Attributes. Strength, 8. Dexterity, 6. Agility, 18. Endurance, 202. Intelligence, 409. Wisdom, 188. MNT, I'm thinking movement, 28. Faith, negative 124. Perception, 21. Charisma, 33. Job information. Banshee, level 25. Max progress. Lich, level 41. 87% progress. Oh, MNT is mental fortitude. Skill list. Sonic Scream, level 6, proficiency 74%. Mind Invader, level 3, proficiency 16%. Detect Life, level 5, proficiency 43%. Oh, actually, you know what? This doesn't even... Okay, so all these stats don't really matter because that's the end of the chapter. Oh, it got hot in here. So, that was Everybody Loves Large Chests. Man, that was hilarious and disturbing. Whew. Fucking hilarious. Alright. So, yeah, that was, yeah, the booth heated up for that, for sure. So, all the dangerous stuff is gone. Everybody Loves Large Chests. If you haven't checked it out yet, get on Royal Road Legends, and you'll be able to find it by... Let's see, he goes by Exterminatus on Royal Road, but his name is Neven Iliev. It was an experience indeed. Wow. Wow. I feel like I need to stick my head in a bucket too. I should have left that for I should have left that for last. Okay. On to RWO with the best cover ever. You haven't changed the cover, have you? This is RWO by Ian Mitchell. And if you haven't been watching my show, I've been doing a lot of Ian Mitchell's story here. And it's basically about an AI becoming independent. And, well, first of all, the AI's job in it's an away character for an actual player in this MMO. So, like, when it's supposed to be, so whenever the player logs off, the away character... So the away character does leveling for the player while they're logged off. So, like, he's been going through this whole development of awakening, you know, taking the red pill and figuring out that he's an actual AI, and it's... I can't stop laughing! I fully expect that to be like a meme or something. So, this, oh no, wait, what? What the fuck? I got a weird virus thing on my Kindle. That was fucked up. Okay, so, yeah, this AI gets red-pilled. He figures out he's an AI, and he's still trying to figure out how to live in his world. And he's actually finding a way to get into the real world because I think he's able... I'm not exactly sure how he does this. I think he kind of possesses the player's body. And he, like, starts talking to his wife, and it's fucking weird, but I like it. Alright, so he wanted me to start chapter 13, is that right? Let me check the Facebook. Whoops. Somebody's got a base system out there. Oh man, I gotta check out the I gotta check out the comments for the live stream on Facebook eventually. No, stop. Okay. through 16, okay. Woke up in bed with his wife, that's right. Okay, you've reached the avatar help desk. Choose 1, 2, 3, I don't know which applies. Oh, that's right, and it's in first person. And if you've been following Delvers, I'm using Jason's voice. For Hashi, away Hashi. Both of them, I guess. So here goes. RWO Dreams of Another World by Ian Mitchell. Or Rohan and Friends. I don't know what you prefer to go by. I guess Rohan is your pen name? Oh. Yeah, you've reached the Avatar Help Desk. Choose 1, 2, 3. I don't know which applies. 1, 2. I press 1. Someone picks up the phone. Do you need help with your... I hurriedly reply. Do you need help with your... No. Do you need help with your game avatar? I hurriedly reply. No, I'm the game avatar. I think I broke my player. Oh, I see. That's what the cover is. I see. Yeah, it's completely unreadable. All right. I'm in a room with a long row of statues depicting the various races I've seen in the game. Male and female versions of each race are grouped together on slightly raised platforms. Cool! It's another Dr. Ermine special. Somehow I don't think this is the standard character creation for the game I live in. I walk down the row and look at each pair. There's an information plaque on a pole next to each race's platform. Human. Most often played race in the game. They're average at everything and level slightly faster. You've already tried this one. I'm thinking Dr. Ermine wrote these. Elf. There are a number of elven subtypes, and the non-players tend to have segregated communities. Elves generally have lifespans much longer than humans. Elves also have pointy ears. Dwarf. These hardy mountain dwellers make for great fighters. They are great for mining, metalworking, and feeding to the dragon that is chasing you. They're tough and have a racial disadvantage of being unable to reach the top shelves in shops. Gnome, halfling, orc, cow person. Yep, I'm sure Ermine wrote these. Cat girl / cat boy. These anthropomorphic felines are known for being cute. Their species are well known for hunting, stealth, and for roadside stands where they sell questionable goods. I really liked seeing these people in the game. I don't think that's what they're really called, though. I'd like to have a cute character. Catgirl it is. I touch the statue and see a system notification. Would you like to choose Catgirl as your race? Yes, I would. And now I'm a Catgirl. The statues have disappeared, and I'm looking at a Catgirl in front of me. Now I'm presented with a series of options on changing body shape, coloration, the human/cat balance. I play with the controls for a while until I'm satisfied with how I look. Accept changes? Yes, I do. Now what? I'm presented with a new row of statues of the various player classes. Each of the statues shows a player in an action pose. This is chapter 13. Okay, so, if you guys are a little bit confused, what's happening here is Hashi, the away character, who's kind of red-pilled and trying to figure out how to play the game himself, is now creating his own character. I'm presented with a new row of statues of the various player classes. Each of the statues shows a player in an action pose. Warrior. Boring. Priest. I can't tell what he's doing. Glows a lot. Wizard. Maybe. Bard. Meh. Alchemist. I've had my fill of potion making. Witch. Cool. I like the pointy hat. Druid. Interesting. Rogue. Kind of cool. Sneaking is fun. Ninja. Ooh, I like that outfit. Really good for sneaking. I'm not so fond of killing people. Paladin. Champions of their chosen deity. Protectors of the people. A cross between knight and priest.
Paladins have some divine magics as well as strong martial skills. Heroes. Ooh, I like that one. I wonder if I could be a paladin and wear ninja clothes. Would you like to choose paladin as your class? I'm a paladin. I'm now shown myself wearing shiny armor. I'm not sure how I'll be able to move in that metal suit. Perhaps I can mix and match with ninja gear? What's next? The statues representing races have disappeared. Now in front of me is a large arch lettered with, "Choose your deity." I'm not so sure about this one. Hey, Dr. Ermind? He's right next to me.
What's up, Hashi? Nice outfit.
I ask Ermind, what's up with this deity thing? I'm feeling a bit strange about it. Can't I just pick you since you've been so helpful and all?
Hashi, unfortunately, I'm not on the approved list for the game. I think the players might notice. I'd rather the people running this game server not be aware of my existence. Players with paladin and priest characters pick a deity or pantheon during character creation. You can change your mind later. The cat race players frequently take the cat pantheon.
Okay, that works for me. I was just worried about committing to something more. It's just a game, right?
Oh, Ian saying, Hashi got bored. His player hasn't been on in a while. No new things to do. No new things to do lists. So he started a new character. Okay. So, Chapter 14. Catgirl Adventures. Dr. Ermind looked at me for a while. Don't sweat the character class. Just go start playing.
Okay, Dr. Ermind. Where's the door?
I'm sending you to a starter town. Message me if you need something. Have fun.
He waved his hand, and an archway appeared. I can't see through it. I know it's time to get going, but I'm feeling a bit nervous. I look at Ermind one more time, and then walk through. I'm standing on a dirt road through a forest. It's just a little bigger than a dirt trail. My map shows a town nearby. I'm pushed several feet. What was that?
Are you going to stand there all day?
I look around to see who's talking. I've been pushed again. Dave, druid, Amazing Grace, priest, and Bob, necromancer, are all standing pretty close to me. Each of them starts walking towards the town.
Well, are you coming, or is it standing on the spawn point fun for you?
That was Dave. Sure.
The other... Oh, wait. I need to change the voice because he's a cat girl. I want to go back to the gnome voice. I had fun with the gnome voice earlier.
Sure.
The other players haven't said anything. I notice after walking for a bit that more players appear back where I entered the game. Everyone I see is a cat person. They all have cat ears and tails, although it varies some on how cat-like their features are. Everyone is furry. I like that. I haven't interacted with players much yet. I want to start a conversation. I'm feeling nervous about that. Several players have sprinted ahead. I'll follow them and see where they go. Dave's still walking near me. I ask him,
So, what do we do when we get to town?
Is this your first time here? Dave asks.
Dave asks back.
This is my first new character.
That's true. Mostly.
Well, the starter villages are mainly for introducing new players to gameplay. You'll go from quest to quest and pick up some basic gear and beginning skills. Just follow me for a while and see.
Thanks.
That went pretty well. Dave. MOF? Why is he sending me private messages? Me. Huh? Dave.
Male or female IRL? Me. IRL? Dave. Male or female in real life? I'm getting a creepy vibe now, and I'm slowing down and letting him walk farther ahead. Message, Dr. Ermind. Someone is messaging me about male or female in real life. I don't understand what he's asking. Is he asking about RWO? Oh, he's sending a message to Dr. Ermind. Is he asking about RWO? I thought I wasn't supposed to talk about that. Ermind. Hashi, he's being rude. Tell him non-binary and to leave you alone. Try talking with someone else. If other people send you male or female private messages, you probably should ignore them. Message me if you have more questions. Message Dave. Non-binary. Leave me alone. Dave doesn't reply and starts sprinting ahead. I'm pretty confused about that whole exchange. Maybe I can find someone else to talk to. The village is in a clearing with a few larger trees. The houses and buildings look very organic. Most are round and look like they are made out of tree limbs and dirt or mud. This village is a lot smaller than the town where I've lived. The perfect place. I follow the slow stream of players heading into town. Everyone is over by Tammy, town elder.
Gather round, brave adventurers!
I listen raptly as Tammy talks about the history of the town, the coming darkness, and how that looming threat is currently manifesting as a rat infestation. Tammy has offered you a quest. Thin the rat horde. Rewards, plus 100 XP and an item. Plus 50 XP for completing. Plus 50 XP for completing, find the town elder. I accept the quest. Nyatali the ninja has been watching me while I was listening to Tammy. Nyatali's fur is black, and her tail isn't as fluffy as mine. Maybe she was waiting for me to finish so we could do our first quest together.
Hey, Nyatali, want to hunt rats together?
Hashi, did you actually listen to all of that?
Well, Tammy was talking.
Sure, I'll hunt rats with you. Don't forget to equip your dagger. Follow me.
Nyatali has invited you to a group. Accept? I accept the group invitation and start running to catch up with her. My first group. I'm so excited. Chapter 15, The Horde. Let me get some water real quick. This is this is so weird and funny. I like it. Nyatali stopped a little outside of the clearing. Why don't I just take a drink first?
Well, here you go, Hashi. Rats.
We're in the woods near the village. The rats are scurrying everywhere. I just stand looking at them for a bit.
Wow, that's a lot of rats. How much is considered thinning? How much is considered thinning?
Nyatali stabs a rat near her twice. It dies.
Just kill them until you get bored. That should be enough. You haven't done this before?
Nope. This is my first rat hunt.
I start stabbing rats. And more rats. Fighting with a knife is a bit different from sword fighting. Even though I'm only first level, the rats don't have a chance. 1 or 2 hits kills them. Natalie is efficiently ridding the area around her of rodents. So am I. Occasionally, a rat bites me, but not all that often. The slow in-combat regeneration takes care of that.
So this is going to slow down the coming doom how?
I ask. Like I said earlier, how can you stand to listen to the intro text? Natalie replied. We're running from rat to rat, cleaning up the woods.
Tammy was talking, and I wanted to hear what she had to say. Won't we run out of them eventually?
Natalie seemed surprised there. Wow, you really haven't played much. We'll never run out of them. The first ones should already be respawning by now. Natalie was surrounded by a flash of light, but she kept on fighting as if nothing had happened. After killing a few more rats, I got a flash of my own. System. Level up. New stats are available for assignment. Natalie said, That's good enough for now. Let's loot the rats and turn in the quest. After looting the rats, we had a treasure trove of rat skins, rat tails, and copper coins. I suppose I could make some shoes out of the rat skins.
Wow, that was fun. I haven't ever killed any monsters here before.
Natalie looked at me. That was amazing if it was your first time.
That was my first time killing monsters. I spent a lot of time training in the Fighters Hall on my previous character.
And you never killed a mob the whole time you played? What were you doing? Natalie looks puzzled.
Grinding skills and practicing. I did try combat against some wolves. They killed me. It was fun.
Girl, you are weird. Why make a new Catgirl character?
I like the way Catgirls look. I like the ninja outfits as well. I was wondering, during character creation, if I could do the paladin thing wearing ninja gear.
I suppose you could. Probably not very efficient, but we would match. Natalie laughed at that. Do you want to keep playing together? Natalie would like to be friends. Except?
I'd really like that. I haven't played with anyone here yet.
I have a new friend. Yay! We turned in the quest with Tammy. Thinning the horde complete, plus 100 experience. Tammy give us each 2 healing potions and another inventory bag.
Okay, Natalie, you seem to know your way around here. What's next in our grand adventure?
Get out your map. See these symbols? Those are people with quests, and this symbol is you, and this one is me. See?
Got it. On to the next quest, or do we get rid of the rat pieces?
Well, this starter area is good for getting the first few levels and some basic armor and weapons. It's not like the rat parts are going to leak in the bag. That would be gross.
Killing rats was a lot of fun. Even more fun than getting mauled by wolves.
You have a strange idea of fun, Hashi. We find the next quest giver. Tammy told us about this one. Ginger, the blacksmith, needs help finding missing tools. During Ginger's speech, I watched Natalie. She's always moving. The longer I've spent with Natalie, the less real the townsfolk seem. I can hear Tammy giving her speech to another group of players. It's the same speech she gave us. Not a word different.
Natalie, is Tammy's speech the same every time?
Of course it is. All the quests are scripted. That's how this game works. Huh. I'll have to think about that. All right. Chapter 16, Building Stuff. I have to say, the rest of the quests in town weren't as much fun as the rats were. Running around doing the quests with Natalie was a lot of fun, though. Watching the other players race from quest to quest was a bit amusing as well. They kind of remind me of the rats running around now that I think about it. I wish we could build stuff on here. That would be cool. System notice. Building tools are only available during development and aren't available to non-admin players.
Hey, Natalie, wouldn't it be cool if we could build stuff on here? Make things that stayed in the world?
Hashi, this isn't that sort of game. Some of the other MMOs have ways to build houses and more extensive crafting, just not this one. Why? Do you want to do that instead?
I think I'd like that.
Natali, we could play some server block miner. Here's a link to the one I play on. Do you want to do that for a while? Message Dr. Ermind. Hey, someone I've been playing with asked me to come play with her on a block miner server. Is that something I could do? Ermind. I don't see why not. Sounds like fun. Give me a sec and I'll set you up. Tell her that you are installing it. Message Ermind. Okay.
Sure, Natali. Let's do that. I'm installing it now.
Excuse me. Okay, Hashi. I'll meet you at the main spawn point. Since we just started these characters, I'm going to turn off my away character. I'll meet you there. Your friend Natali has logged off. Message Dr. Ermind. Okay, I'm ready. This is weird. I'm standing next to what looks like my player's house. Well, I'm standing next to what looks like my player's house if it was in my world. Dr. Ermind is standing next to the front door. Dr. Ermind says, "Hey, Hashi, I thought you might like some place to go when you are logging into other games. I took your video feed from your first session in RWO and built an in-game version. What do you think?" It's really weird, Ermind. This is my player's house. It has game world grass. I don't think I'd be comfortable with it. Are the rooms the same? The ones you went into, Dr. Ermind. Dr. Ermind is scratching his head and fidgeting. This feels like their house. If you were going to make me a house, I'd like one that was mine. Dr. Ermind stands and drops his hands to his side. Well, Hashi, this goes to show you that I don't know everything. I was sure you'd like it. I think I just achieved an uncanny valley moment. Let me get you logged in at Natali's game server. We'll fix you up with a house later. You'll come back to this world when you quit the other game. Send me a message if you have any questions while playing Block Miner. Wow, Ermind can talk a lot. I'm glad he's understanding about the house. It makes me uncomfortable looking at it. No clue what he meant with uncanny valley. That sounds like where we are at right now, only there isn't a valley here. The house is the only thing in sight. Dr. Ermind does one of his making a portal gestures, and an archway appears. System. +1 interpreting mystical gestures. See you later, Doctor. Thanks. I walk through the arch. What the heck is this? Everything is square. All right, and that's it. 13 through 16 on RWO. So, what I really like about this is Hashi's got all this vocabulary and he's got a concept of his own existence, but he still kind of thinks like an infant. You know, like everything is new to him and everything is surprising. But as the reader, you know, we know everything that he's experiencing. So it's just kind of fun to experience it with him and know what it's like and imagine what it would be like to be a computer learning about stuff that people created. I like what he's doing with this series. So, Ian, thanks for requesting again. Nicholas Legrand, thank you for requesting another Everybody Loves Large Chests. Neven, thank you for having requested it so many times before. And thank you for that deeply disturbing chapter. Yeah, I hope you guys make a meme out of that fuck me part. Because that was hilarious. But yeah, so thanks for coming, guys. Let's see, next week
Next week, what am I doing next week? Oh, no, my calendar's up here. Yuck. Get rid of this. As an update for the original content for Proxima Live, which Michael Ryan's Soylo is working on still, he said that he's actually going to be building a website for it, and that there's going to be a point in time where he's going to have, like, maybe, next week is not Secret Harmon stuff, no. Because the Secret Harmon stuff is gonna, the Sound Booth Theater Live is gonna be like whatever random day that the audiobook comes out for Harmon's secret stuff, because it's going to release at the same time as the Kindle version. And it's gonna just pop out of nowhere, so just keep your eyes out for the next few weeks, and it'll eventually just show up. How do they say it on Pokemon? Yeah, a Wild Harmon Cooper book will appear. So, all right. So let's see. All right, we have next week. Okay, so the week after, I'm doing Chaos of the Covenant 5. Wow. Basically doing those back to back. Just so you guys know, I'll be recording Chaos of the Covenant 4, Kill the Queen. I'm starting recording tonight, and I'll be recording all week, probably through the weekend. Book 3 is out now, if you didn't know. So the whole first 3 books of the Chaos of the Covenant series. Let me go ahead and get my advertisements out for them. I haven't added the 3rd book yet, but these are out now. Book 3 is also out, so go grab those, guys. I know it's not a lit RPG, but it's very, very, very good. MR Forbes is always on point. So, you know what? Next week I will do a Sound Booth Theater Live with Chaos of the Covenant. So, but you know what? I think what I want to do, I'm not sure exactly what to do with it, because the books came out so quickly. You know, like, MR Forbes is just throwing them out there so quick, and I don't want to spoil anything, you know, but I don't know, maybe I'll choose some scenes from book 2. So for now, you guys go catch up, or at least listen to the first one, because next week I'm gonna choose some of my favorite scenes from book 2, and I'm gonna do that. So next week, 7 p.m., some Chaos of the Covenant, and let's see, the week after that, I'm gonna be working on book 5 of the Ascension series by Ken Lozito for Podium Publishing. So I might do an SBTL for that. I don't know. I don't think I've done an SBTL for the Ascension series yet, so I might just do something from book 1. Oh wait, no. Here's the thing about Podium. They're scared of me, like, copyright infringing and stuff. They're scared the Audible's gonna jump on them for that stuff. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to imagine the Audible would crack down on me for basically advertising the audiobooks that they sell. I mean, it's not like people are going to come to my show, watch it for an hour, you know, even though it's a 7-hour audiobook and it's a series of four books on Audible now. This will be the 5th one. It's not like they're gonna, you know, get upset that they're not gonna say, I watched him do it on SBTL, I got the whole thing. That's not how audiobooks work. So I don't know. Probably can't do that, can I? I don't know. See, working for Podium, it just makes it a little more difficult. You know, I'd like to push their stuff, but it's like red tape, you know. So I don't know. I think so. Next week I'll do a piece of Fire and Brimstone by M.R. Forbes, 7 p.m. And then the next week, I don't know, maybe Harmon's thing will be ready by then? We'll see. More large chests. Maybe. We'll see, guys. But, again, thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for watching me say, I want to get fucked. And, yeah, until next time. And, Ian, you're getting a free audiobook. Ian, you're getting a free audiobook. And Nicholas Legrand, you're getting a free audiobook. And Neven, I don't know if you want one. I'll give you one. And Chet, damn it, you should have requested something. Is that you, Buddhacat? Buddhacat, is that Chet? Blah. I think Chet is Buddhacat. You should have requested something, dude. Come on. Oh, okay. No, just Buddhacat. All right. Yeah, I'm about to end the show here. I need to get back to actually recording. Oh wow, new to the show. Awesome. But you know what, guys? If you guys that was I wasn't just clapping at the mic. There was a gnat in front of me. If you want to do some more requests, go to the Facebook group and make a post. Join the Facebook group, post something, you know, tell me what you want, and I'm going to do a requests only sometime soon. You know, it'll probably be on a Wednesday instead of a Sunday, because, I don't know, I can't really manage more than one a week right now, but I am catching up on my schedule. For if any of you guys are my authors that are watching, you know that I've been really behind, but I'm catching up. I'm fine. Like this week, I'm probably gonna be caught up on my schedule, and it's gonna be amazing. So, yeah, and once the Proxima Live is ready, then I will be able to do, you know, probably twice a week. So definitely go request. I'll find some time to get some requests in, guys. You know, for maybe one of these days like this where I was like, shit, I didn't have anything to do. So go do that. I love getting requests. And yeah, until next time, guys. Thanks so much. Peace. Thanks for the link.